Why? Why? Why would you ask a question of Fedor? What are you expecting to get from this? You could take the J train downtown, just ask your question to the Brooklyn Bridge. And architecturally, it would be more stimulating than you're going to get from Fedor. Have you seen him with his shirt off? Rethink that. Everybody wants to know what Fedor is thinking, and I can promise you guys he's up here thinking the same thing you'd be thinking, which is, why in God's name did I get on the wrong side of Chael Sonnen?
These guys just never know when to shut up. And when the time came to produce the goods, their pre-fight confidence was unraveled in embarrassing fashion. Here's what happens when bullying trash talkers finally meet their match in the ring.
Champion of the world, Mike Tyson. Then I'll illustrate my reign with bloodshed and pain. Then everybody will fear me. Got tremble in the bones. There's nothing superior than him about me. He has nothing superior than me. There's nothing about him. If anything, he's the homo sapien, I'm the homo superior. There's no one to come after me. That means nothing. I've been champion, had 12 defenses, fought all styles, every style. Top men, everybody more experienced than me. This would be new for him to fight somebody more experienced than him that knows how to fight. He's not afraid of him. This is one time he's going to get hit. I'll take his life. That's what I do.
Mike Tyson's call-out on Lennox Lewis might just be the most famous in boxing history, or at least the last 30 years. To say that Iron Mike turned up the intensity on Lewis would be an understatement. It was pure poetry watching Tyson compare himself to great conquerors of old and some legendary boxers.
I don't know, man. Yeah, Lennox Lewis. Lennox, I'm coming for you. I was going to rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
But the real kicker came when Mike told the world that he wanted to eat Lewis's children. Yeah, he went there.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
This was Mike at his most fired up, and the infamous brawl between Tyson and Lewis' team tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. There was a raw intensity to Tyson that was genuinely frightening to behold. Sure, at this point he was past his prime in terms of fighting skill and athletic ability, but you could tell he really wanted to hurt Lennox in there. Lewis was clearly the betting favorite, the more solid technician, who appeared to be closer to his physical peak. But man, Tyson made this fight a huge occasion, stirring up enough fan interest to bring the hype levels as high as they could be. Lewis didn't get drawn into Tyson's mental games though, even though you could tell that he was looking forward to putting hands on him. Was Tyson's aggression all an act to mask the fact that he was no longer on that highest level? Well, we found out pretty quickly. The first round was decently competitive, but from there, Lewis' technical mastery was proving to be too much for Iron Mike to deal with. By the middle rounds, Tyson's face was starting to swell.
The bad boy of boxing is getting spanked by Lennox Lewis.
And in round 8, a thunderous right hand from Lennox sat Tyson down on the canvas. And he was so dazed that getting up was never on the cards for him.
You can't take that from... Big right hand from Lewis! Lennox Lewis!
A dominant win for Lewis, which stood as a true statement about his greatness, as well as a sign that Tyson's best days were sadly behind him. He wouldn't last much longer in the sport, retiring after just 3 more fights.
Getting hurt again, second time. God damn, got hurt first time, got postponed, almost got hurt again here doing an interview. And that's how clumsy he's gonna be September 10th, applying all that pressure keeps talking about.
We go next to the world of YouTube boxing and a pretty embarrassing showcase for Austin McBroom, a 31-year-old celebrity boxer who seemed to be reveling the chance to talk trash to his opponent, Anisan Gibb. Now, the two were going back and forth with their verbal attacks.
Remember, you went up against a guy that didn't throw maybe 1 or 2 punches the whole night.
I'm gonna make you do the same.
You were fighting a punching bag.
I'm gonna make you do the same.
Taylor was the worst opponent
you could have fought. The moment you step forward, you're gonna be walking into my shots.
Keep that same
energy.
That's
what you're gonna be doing.
So. Keep that same energy.
What type of energy do you
Because that's all we've been training for.
I'm gonna
for the past
destroy
4 months,
you.
Is you walking in like a dummy.
Do it.
And you getting hit by a punch. That's
I'm excited.
all it takes.
Dead footwork.
Please, bring it on.
Dead hand placement. Everything about you stinks.
Bring that shit.
Everything about you stinks.
Awkward fighting is beautiful. I love it. I love it.
But man, McBroom was constantly succeeding in finding new ways to be incredibly annoying with his insults. This is a fully grown man who had the wit of a teenager. Gibbs seemed confident that he could exploit his opponent's shortcomings, And even when things got a little heated between the two, it was clear which of these guys had the more level head. But that didn't stop McBroom from making the bold prediction that he could get his rival out of there in less than 3 rounds.
It's time to embarrass him September 10th. I need everybody to tune in, socialgloves.tv. You're not going to want to miss it. He's not getting past 3 rounds. Like I said, Bryce, my last opponent, lasted 3 rounds. He's not lasting longer than 3 rounds.
This is a promise that looks pretty bad in hindsight, but hey, you got to respect the dude for being confident. Unfortunately, he was about to receive a major lesson on humility, and the entire YouTube boxing scene played witness to it. It's always nice to see someone who's this overconfident get their comeuppance, and that's exactly what we saw here. To his credit, Austin proved that he wasn't totally out of his depth by scoring an early knockdown on Gibb.
McBroom is using that lead hand to make sure it's extended.
Oh, down goes Gibb! Oh my goodness! Look at that power!
But what followed was a truly one-sided beatdown, with McBroom suffering several knockdowns. He nearly got knocked out of the ring at one point as well. By the time McBroom hit the canvas for the 4th time, the ref had had enough and proceeded to wave this contest off. Some major karma was at play, and this remains one of the most merciless YouTube boxing beatdowns.
This one's over! As the 7-figure giver has come to Los Angeles and has wiped out Austin McBroom!
He's punch drunk, he can't take a shot anymore, and after I'm finished with him, I'm going to retire him.
Tú y tu entrenador van a ser un par de fracasados.
You and your trainer are going to fail in this quest to beat him.
Ya lo son, pero yo no voy a firmar para que te
You're failures already, but I'm going to just verify that on March 12th.
Stay in your seat, man.
I'll wait for you on March 12th. Remember, I'm going to knock you out in less than 4 rounds. Remember that. I see scare, I see fear in your eyes.
This infamous clash of Nicaragua and Puerto Rico saw the great Miguel Cotto tasked with taking on one of the most famous bullies in boxing history. If you know anything about Ricardo Mayorga, you'll know he takes a very special pleasure in antagonizing his opponents, going to places with his trash talk that most fighters wouldn't dream of. He's a hard-drinking, hard-smoking fighter. In Cotto's eyes, it was obvious that he was trying to provoke a reaction, but he never got one. Better fighter of the two, and he knew that no amount of trash talk was going to save Ricardo Mayorga when the opening bell sounded.
Look, enough said. Time to cut off his head. And come July the 24th, there will be bloodshed.
Jay Diaz is in the room while I had the fucking gloves on. Why didn't he say something then? He's in on it too.
Worry about him.
And there's no one in here
energy.
can accept the fact that this little pussy got his ass handed to him, not once, but twice, and he can't do nothing about it!
And I can't wait to show the world what I'm all about. I'm reintroducing myself to the world as Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder is an interesting character. On one hand, he's without question one of the greatest punchers to ever don gloves, and his ability to score knockouts might be unrivaled in boxing today. But over the years, Wilder's tendency to make excuses turned on him, because by the time his trilogy fight with Tyson Fury came around, though the score was technically 1 win for Fury and a draw, anyone who watched their first fight knew that Fury had won conclusively, despite getting dropped.
Who is the man who beat the man who beat the man?
Deontay can sneak it in.
Fury now working the jab.
But Wilder did his best to try and push a narrative that agreed with the judges. In fashion for their rematch, the Bronze Bomber tried to claim that his heavy costume for the fighter walkout had tired him out. Hilariously bad excuse.
Wilder needs to stay away from the ropes. He does not look good. Right hand. It's team up. And this one is over.
Well, for the trilogy fight, Deontay came to the press conference and sat there with headphones on, unwilling to allow Fury to talk to him. And then at a later date, when he was finally listening, his attempts to call out Fury for nervous energy fell totally flat. Wilder was just so concerned with looking cool that he ended up having the opposite effect. Thankfully, Tyson was about to teach him yet another lesson in boxing levels.
His jabbing has made a big difference in this fight. As Fury then lands a hard shot to the body. Again, it's become a battle, a slugfest. It's boxing, but it's slugging as well. He's kind of putting it out there, even if you throw it as a blinder again. The punch that put Fury down for the 12th round. Wilder looks hurt. Came after a blinder.
To his credit, the fight was actually a lot closer than their second. In fact, it was a great heavyweight title fight, one of the best in recent years. But Fury wouldn't be denied his second TKO win. And when the time came for him to step on the gas, he ended up stopping Wilder in round 11. Finish rivalry. But man, who knows if Deontay was willing to finally admit he'd been beaten.
WBC heavyweight champion of the world.
It is over.
Unbelievable as the Gypsy King.
Why would you ask a question of Fedor? What are you expecting to get from this? You could take the J train downtown, just ask your question to the Brooklyn Bridge. And architecturally, it would be more stimulating than you're going to get from Fedor. Have you seen him with his shirt off? Rethink that.
Love him or hate him, you got to admit that Chael Sonnen has a true gift for talking trash. Now, does that mean he's always able to back it up? No, it doesn't. But even still, generally speaking, the most exciting part of a Chael Sonnen fight is the time he spends in front of a microphone before things get underway.
Everybody wants to know what Fedor is thinking, and I can promise you guys he's up here thinking the same thing you'd be thinking, which is why in God's name did I get on the wrong side of Chael Sonnen?
When he took on the legend Fedor Emelianenko, Chael was in top form, managing to get his mental warfare going without even speaking Fedor's language, taking shots at his one-note answers and lack of personality. However, his most memorable shots at Emelianenko came when he spoke to Ariel Helwani about the padded records to these fighters who came up on the Japanese scene. Guys like Fedor, Mirko Cro Cop, Wanderlei Silva, fighters who had tremendous success during their primes in Pride, but failed to capture that magic again when they moved to the U.S.
Mirko Cro Cop's going to win all those fights in Japan. He can't beat anybody in America. Fedor's going to win all those fights in Japan, and he's 3-2 in America, and one of those wins is over a guy that was flipping tires at Sam's Club the month before. The Japanese circuit is fake. It's always been fake. None of those guys won those fights. They never won those fights.
Sonnen was convinced that there was something fishy going on, but even with his older, more weathered version of Fedor in front of him, Chael would not have enough to his game to get the job done. An older Fedor is still capable of beating a lot of good guys, and as a natural middleweight, Sonnen was kind of outgunned in this one. Fedor just had too much strength and way too much scrambling ability for Sonnen. On the feet, the Russian had an obvious speed and power advantage, but Chael's attempts to take Emelianenko down were mostly met with some excellent scrambles and reversals. Sonnen was getting tagged in the stand-up too, and eventually, when Fedor's ground and pound became too much, the fight was brought to a halt, proving that maybe Chael had underestimated his opponent's prowess.
Looking to finish right here, right now. He's not being hurt, but he's got to move. Chael is hanging tough. Love what I see out of him right now. He's got to move, Bruce. And it's all over.
Neither of these guys were in their prime for this bout, but it remains a nice late career win on Emelianenko's record.
They expect a great performance. They expect him on the canvas. My hand raise as usual.
I mean, it's an intense. Like, you guys are about to step in the ring together, making your pro debut
is it
without
intense?
any headgear.
Is it intense?
When the fight comes, it's going to be very intense. I feel like the situation's got more real. The date is coming close. But
yeah, no shit. It's in 2 days.
Yes, it is in 2 days.
Yeah, the date's coming close. Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
You want to tell the cameras anything else?
I think that'll be it.
Okay. I think he's dedicated.
Oh, thank you.
I think you got a big heart, and that's about it. Well, and a big nose.
Thank you.
It's not a compliment. That's the big thing. That's the big thing that you want to run with here is, oh, you have yes men.
Yes.
You can't. Well, guess what? My yes men had me fucking here on time, and I'm a fucking professional. And you're just
No one told me the time.
You're just like an idiot, bro.
What? My 11-degree sponsor?
What the fuck is that?
But when it comes to fighting me, I don't care about you and what you can bring. I will keep coming forward no matter how many punches that you throw. I'm going to keep being there in front of you. You know what I'm bringing.
We go back to Anisan Gibb, who was victorious in the first fight we featured from him, but in this case, it didn't play out well for him at all. Turning pro under any circumstance is a tough challenge. But when Gibb and Jake Paul decided to go pro for a huge event under the YouTube boxing banner, the fight had a surprisingly big feel to it. Sure, no one was expecting these two guys to set the world on fire, but the trash talk they exchanged was pretty heavy from the get-go.
Bugattis, boats, you're invited. Wait till what? You're buying. Fuck your buying. And fuck you. I'm coming for that belt and you're getting caught and that's it. You don't want to come? To come to your shit fight? No, thank you. Boo. No? Boo. Well, you're invited.
Gibb was definitely outgunned by Paul in terms of mic skills, but he still promised the world that he'd score an easy knockout win. At this point in time, we didn't yet realize how far ahead of the pack Jake Paul would pull, as far as being the best YouTube boxer is concerned. This was before Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, and Nate Diaz, and so Gibb's confidence didn't seem too misplaced. But unfortunately, he was about to learn a very tough lesson about the fight game, and it was going to make this one disastrous way to kick off your pro career. Trust me when I tell you, this one was a total mismatch that didn't take long to get resolved. Gibb tried to utilize a very pressure-intensive style, walking down Jake Paul from the opening bell.
Jake Paul has seemed very confident in his ability to knock down an Ethan Gibb. Gibb, in his amateur fights we've seen, has an incredibly unorthodox style, obviously not trained as a professional boxer. And you could see immediately just diving in to Paul.
The problem was that Jake was a far better boxer than he was, and his ability to counter Gibb as he came in made it clear that this fight wasn't going to last long. Paul just had better composure, balance, and timing, and after soundly beating his opponent in every exchange, the ref decided to jump in and call this one off before the first round had even finished.
Gibb is hurt, and now he's down again, and that is it. Jake Paul with a first-round destruction.
A dominant performance to kick off Paul's professional career.
2 minutes and 18 seconds of round number 1. Your winner by TKO, the problem child, Jake Paul.
But I just feel like it's probably one of the, in the 147-pound division, it'll probably be the hardest fight for me. In the 147-pound division, I'm unbeaten. I've got some great fights in this division. It's my natural weight, what I'm happy making. So, yeah, man, I think it's the ideal weight. There'll be a lot of skills, get moves, make him miss, keeping it long, keeping the jab going. He'll turn southpaw. If he can switch to southpaw, I'm a very good fighter against southpaws. Some people get put off against southpaws. I do well against orthodox, and I do even better against southpaws. So, whatever he wants to do, I'm going to be ready for.
Amir Khan seemed oddly confident coming into his bout with the pound-for-pound great Terence Crawford, despite his patchy record in the years that preceded it. Khan, at his best, was a very solid technical fighter, but man, if there was an Achilles heel to his ability to withstand punishment. Time and time again, Khan found himself on the receiving end of brutal knockout defeats. And yet when he took on the living legend Terence Crawford's natural division, it wasn't like Khan was getting too aggressive with his pre-fight trash talk that just seemed misplaced.
Because you know that you're probably the underdog going into this fight. You have to prove a point. This is where legends are made.
Crawford was really coming into his own as a finisher during this on another level.
Honestly, a lack of confidence. And underestimating me. I really believe that he doesn't have anything on the table. I'm just reading his demeanor, everything. I'm letting him talk majority of the time just to see like where he is, like what he's thinking and everything, but yeah, nothing. I'm gonna just go through you. I'm gonna just break you. I'm gonna eat you alive, bro. I believe he's doing this for relevancy, 100%.
Obviously, you tasted a small taste of the London crowd.
Oh wait, before I carry on, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You always talk about JJ, KSI this, KSI that. Yo, so obviously, you know my brother, he performs, right?
Yeah.
So I got his I got him to sign this sweaty towel for you.
That's for me.
All right, wait. He signed it just for you, okay?
Ah.
See that?
Thank you.
Just for you, my guy.
The problem with trash talking in the modern age is whatever you say in front of a camera is going to stay online forever. And it'll also book you a one-way ticket to a video like this one. If you watch this channel enough, you know that Deji is often the guy who's overlooked by his opponent, unfairly written off by his overconfident opponents.
Do you know him? Do you know who he is? Exactly. No one knows who you are. I'm just boxing you, all right? Okay, and you're gonna find out Saturday that you're just a guy I'm boxing.
But despite the fact that Deji has outperformed many expectations by eventually turning his career around since going pro. On this occasion, we gotta hold him accountable, because when he took on Alex Wasabi, he was giving off way too much confidence for a guy who had such a bad record at the amateur level, and some of his attempts to provoke a reaction from his opponent were just plain childish.
I don't know how to answer this question.
Wasabi, by comparison, seemed a lot more chilled out, more willing to let his fighting do the talking. Seriously, Deji had lost his only 2 fights as an amateur up to this point, giving him a laughable record of 0-2. And yet he was talking with the confidence of a world champion. Seems weird, right? Well, Deji's cool demeanor was about to get proven wrong on the big stage. But to be honest, neither of these guys had too much in the way of actual boxing talent. Deji was worse, sure, but Alex Wasabi came out of it looking better because of the fact he didn't embarrass himself pre-fight. Wasabi just seemed to have better punching form, better skills, and overall athleticism. And in bigger exchanges, he came out with the harder shots landed.
And now Alex Wasabi showing that he can slip with the best of them. He threw that right as a counter afterwards. And then the uppercut right hand came in dangerous times for Deji here because Alex is growing in confidence.
It definitely wasn't a high-level boxing matchup, not at all. But Deji ate quite a few hammer blows over the course of the 5-round distance. And when the split decision win was announced in favor of Wasabi, it was clear that Deji had overestimated his abilities on this one, while taking his opponent's skills far too lightly.
Just, waiting for the other one to do something.
Needs to let his hands go. He needs to let his hands go. Wasabi has looked like the only person who actually wants to.
All that trash talk boiled down to practically nothing when it mattered the most.
Our third and final judge scores about 48-47, declaring your winner by split decision, Alex Wasabi.
You think he's overlooking you, Anthony, at all?
Absolutely. I mean, hey, just because you beat up 6 bums, you ain't gonna beat me up.
I just want to say one thing. If this man thinks I've overlooked him, he's very wrong. I'm training like I've got a shot at all these belts on Sunday night. I don't think about him. The only man I thought about, and I've been thinking about for this whole training camp, is Anthony Taylor.
I'm telling you, you're not gonna touch me. You're not gonna knock me out. You fought catfishes, bro. I'm not that guy.
Tommy Fury is a name that carries a decent amount of weight in the mainstream boxing world. On one hand, he is, of course, related to the great heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, part of a fighting dynasty that holds significance in the sport. But he's also a reality TV star in the UK and has latched himself onto the YouTube boxing phenomenon, taking on some of the biggest names in the crossover game. But Anthony Taylor wasn't one of them. This dude has fought on many different shows over the years, both as a mixed martial artist and as a boxer. But his record isn't an overly impressive one. But he really tried to play games with Tommy Fury at every opportunity on the mic, calling him a catfish, and promising the world that he was nothing more than a fraud who was waiting to get exposed.
That's a bum right there. That's a catfish. That's a real catfish. We're gonna take him back to Love Island. Cause him coming to America, he already gonna know what's up.
Their fight was scheduled to take place on the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley card. And with the eyes of the YouTube boxing world upon them, one of these men had an opportunity to step up and prove that they were an ideal candidate for a big-name matchup next time around. The problem? Well, one of these guys was a lifelong boxer, and the other was simply not. And the difference in punching form and overall technical ability here was pretty staggering. Fury was able to make reads on Taylor immediately, countering him with ease and displaying his versatility as a puncher.
I swear to God, all my life, take my soul, I'm going to beat you.
Taylor, on the other hand, loaded up on his shots way too much and ended up hitting air more often than not. By the time the judges' scorecards were needed, it was clear that none of Anthony Taylor's pre-fight predictions were coming through. Fury took home the unanimous decision, and it was a lopsided one for sure.